I was talking to a financial advisor recently, and she told me that when she was studying for the CFP exam, she carried her flashcards everywhere. So much so that she referred to them as her emotional support cards. The week before the exam, she was at the doctor's office reviewing flashcards while she waited, and when the doctor walked in, he was surprised. "What are you studying for? I haven't seen that many flashcards since med school." The funny thing is, she's not the only CFP to tell me a story like this. And if you're studying for the CFP exam right now, you may also be lugging around emotional support cards. But here's the thing. What if all those hours of making and reviewing flashcards aren't actually helping you pass the exam? What if the way that most candidates use flashcards is actually working against them? Today, I'm going to show you the biggest flashcard mistakes test takers make and how to use a system that med school students have been using for years to master massive amounts of information in less time. Let's start with mistake number 1, using flashcards for the wrong content. One of the biggest mistakes I see CFP candidates make is using flashcards for everything. They create hundreds of cards covering every single topic, from tax calculations, detailed estate planning scenarios, intricate insurance comparisons. You start to get the sense that something might be wrong when you're literally rewriting the entire pre-study guide onto flashcards. Look, not everything belongs on a flashcard. Flashcards work through a mechanism called active recall, quickly retrieving specific facts from memory. So things like definitions, formulas, key thresholds, regulatory facts, simple relationships. These are the kinds of things that make good flashcards. But things like complex processes and scenarios require a different mental pathway. When you try to cram multiple steps of processes onto flashcards, you're not building the analytical thinking skills you're going to need when it's exam day. Instead, you want to be drawing flowcharts, you want to be drawing mind maps, doing calculator practice problems and case studies. So when you're making a flashcard, ask yourself, is this fact-based or scenario-based? Fact-based goes on a flashcard, scenario-based goes on a sketch. Now that you know what content deserves to go on a flashcard, let's talk about mistake number 2, how most candidates format their cards in a way that sabotages their learning. Mistake number 2, creating ineffective cards. The second biggest mistake I see candidates make is creating ineffective cards even when they're covering the right material. Let me show you what I mean. Here's a typical flashcard a CFP candidate might create about college savings accounts. On the front, you see we've got college savings accounts. And on the back, well, do you see the problem? This card is trying to cover everything about college savings in one go. It's essentially an information dump, almost like you copied and pasted notes from study materials. This is problematic in a few ways. First, chances are that with a card like this, you get lazy. Instead of coming up with the facts off the top of your head, known as active recall, you simply, you flip the card over and you read it. That looks familiar. It's like rereading a textbook, but this is passive recall, and it's significantly less effective. In fact, studies have shown that when students practice active recall, where they're forcing their brains to retrieve the information, they remember 80% of the material a week later, versus 40% when they're just passively reviewing notes. The other hard thing about brain dump cards like this is, how do you know if you got it right? Let's say you recalled 4 of the 6 facts on the back of the card. Will you remember next time which of the 2 it is that you forgot? Let me show you a much better approach. Instead of one massive card, break it down into focused, specific questions that force active recall. See the difference? These cards each focus on a single specific fact. When you see the question, your brain has to work to retrieve the answer, and that's what makes it effective. So take 30 minutes a day to review your existing cards. For any cards that have multiple facts or paragraph-length answers, break it down into multiple single fact cards. Your study efficiency will immediately improve. Now, this next mistake is the most critical one of all. Mistake number 3, random review instead of spaced repetition. The third major mistake that CFP candidates make when it comes to their cards is not what they put on it or how they're formatted, it's about how they review them. If you're like most candidates, your review process looks something like this. You got a stack of flashcards, go through them, maybe you separate out the ones you've missed. And tomorrow, rinse and repeat, going through all the cards. And then you wonder why you haven't seen your friend in weeks. This approach, reviewing every card with the same frequency, it wastes an enormous amount of your precious time. You know, our brains don't forget information at a uniform rate. Research has shown that memory has something called the forgetting curve. When you learn something new, your retention drops dramatically within the first few days if you don't review it. But here's the key insight. Every time you successfully recall that information, the forgetting curve becomes less steep. So the information stays in your memory longer before it starts to fade. This is where spaced repetition comes in. It's the secret weapon that med school students have been using for years to master the enormous amount of information that they need to learn. Spaced repetition is simple. You review cards right before you're likely to forget them. Cards you find difficult get reviewed more frequently, while cards you know well are reviewed less often. You can implement a basic version of spaced repetition using physical flashcards. Set your cards into 3 boxes: daily, every 3 weeks, and weekly. When you get a card right, it moves into the less frequent box. When you get a card wrong, it moves back into the daily box until you've got it right. But to really harness the power of spaced repetition, you need a digital system. And that's where Anki comes in. Now, before I tell you about Anki, do me a favor and hit the like button. This is a new channel, and well, this content's not exactly viral material. So if you've got a friend who's also studying for the CFP exam, or if you're in a study group, I'd love for you to share this video with them. It would really mean a lot to me. All right, let's get back to flashcards. So if you ask any med school student about Anki, they will tell you that it saved them during med school. In fact, when I realized just how many flashcards I would need to make for my own CFP exam prep, I asked my cousin, who's a medical resident, how she handled it. And that's when she told me about Anki. Anki is a free flashcard app that automates spaced repetition for you, which is why it's the tool that med school students use to memorize thousands of facts for board exams. Now, here's why Anki is a game changer for CFP prep. It automatically schedules your reviews based on how well you know each card. It's available on your phone, so you're not carrying around emotional support cards. It tracks your progress and identifies your weak areas, and you can easily add images, formatting, even audio to your cards. Anki is a free app. I'm not going to do a free Anki tutorial today, although if you are interested, let me know down in the comments. But here's a quick look at how I've set up my Anki deck. I've organized my cards by the major CFP exam topics. Each card follows the principles we talked about earlier. One fact, specific questions, and focused on active recall. Remember when that doctor said to my friend, I haven't seen that many flashcards since med school? Well, now you know how. Med school students aren't just using lots of flashcards, they're using them in the right way. If you found this video helpful, you might enjoy my other CFP study videos. And if you're interested in a full Anki tutorial, let me know in the comments. I'll see you in the next one.